RC friends, and welcome to this video today, where today I'm going to be sorting out my Mardave Mini Assassin for my next set of races, which are actually happening tonight. So I know I'm cutting this a little bit fine. Ideally, I'd like to have this done a little bit earlier, so I've got time just to have a little look through and check. But then again, I don't have any carpet at home, so it's not like I can really do any racing around to see if my changes have improved. And when I do race around in the home, I usually end up crashing into chairs and stuff, and scratching all of my carbon fibre on the bottom. So that's not actually a very good idea. There are quite a few things that I want to do to my Mini before we are ready for racing tonight. But what are they, you may be saying? Well, they are these. Recently, I've been testing a new kingpin brace, which I've been designing to try and give myself a little bit of camber. But in order to see if this is actually giving me the result I desire, I'm actually going to put back the stock kingpin brace here just to see what happens to the car, whether it's better or if it's worse, because if it's better with this stock kingpin brace, then I know that my one in there hasn't been designed exactly perfectly. And as a little bit of a teaser, I've recently remeasured my kingpin and they do not match up as well as they could do. But to be fair, I did design the first one purely from a photograph of the kingpin brace, so it was pretty close for that. Next up, we're going to be swapping over the turning systems here, and we're going to be putting in new kingpins too. The reason for that is I actually managed to seriously bend one of my kingpins last time I raced. Literally, it was like that. So I'm going to swap them both out just in case. I did manage to bend the one that was super bent back into a straight line, but I'd rather have everything be completely straight, which is why I got these hardened ones from the Mardave website. So thank you very much, Mr. Mardave. And I have my two steering column-y actually things here ready to go, but I am going to modify these before putting them into the car because there's just so much natural play in them that, yeah, these really need to be sorted out. Then next up, I'm going to be swapping the springs on the back. I'm going to be putting on the hard rear springs. Reason being, I want to see if it actually makes a big difference for me. In the past, I have had the problem, which many of you do if you've raced Mardaves, is when you full throttle, the car just kind of digs in at the back and then goes to a side. I want to try and fix that by putting in hard springs. I have no idea if that's actually going to fix it though, but I want to put them in and then just see what happens. I will be bringing all of the springs with me tonight though when I do race this thing, because if it's better or if it's worse, then I want to know. And if it is worse, then I can swap out back to some of my original springs or try the mediums, because maybe, I don't know, maybe the hard is too far and the medium will be a nice little middle ground. Then I'm also going to be swapping over my tires. They're not in terrible condition, but they have been chunked a little bit, so I am going to put a brand new set of rears on there. And then along with giving it all a brush to get all of the khaki bits off there, that is pretty much everything that I'm going to be doing today. Now, I fully know that all of these little things that I'm doing are not going to make a big difference. The big difference is going to come from the person behind the controller, and that's me. I'm trying to improve my driving, and hopefully this week I will be driving much better. Fingers crossed. None of this is going to be a magic bullet. I need to get my thumbs working much better. So, without further ado, let's just start getting all these bits swapped across. So that is my test kingpin brace off. Looking at my wheel, it appears that one of the bearing kind of covers has come off of it. I do have spare replacement bearings, so maybe I'll put one of those in instead, but everything else in the bearing looks okay, so maybe we'll just leave that back on over the top. Like I said, the biggest thing that's going to improve my race times is going to be the driving, so I don't think this little loose bearing cover is going to make much of a difference. Right, so I have swapped my little balls over from my old steering arms onto the new ones, and now it's time to sort the axles out. These things are just really wobbly. This is one of the original ones where I did do a little bit of a mod on it, but there is still wobble in there. There's a lot less than they are stock, but there is still wobble in there. So I need to do my best to try and get rid of that. And to do that, I'm going to use some PTFE tape. So I'm going to pop my axle out, and then I'll come to my PTFE tape and take a lick of it off. And then I'm going to take my PTFE tape and just wrap it around the axle here, just like that. And what this is going to do, this is going to thicken up the hex of the axle. I'm being careful not to get any on the main axle itself, so this doesn't interfere with the bearing at all. Just run it around there, thickening it up. And then now I've got that thickened up, I'm going to find the right side of my steering joint to put that into, which is this side. I'm just going to force it in there and finish it off with a little bit of a hammer in. There is no play in that anymore. That is great. Now there is a bit of PTFE tape through there at the minute, which is blocking the hole where the kingpin goes. So I'm going to force the kingpin through it just to see if once that's through, there's not loads of friction on it, which is going to hinder steering. And that is not as smooth as I would like it to be, but I think I can get away with just putting a bit of oil down in there, and that's going to smoothen it up. Lovely. That is nice and smooth. Now, originally when I was testing this mod, I actually got like a drill bit and put that through to like cut out anything that was inside that was causing there to be friction. But then I messed up, and on one of the older ones, I actually enlarged the hole a very small amount, which then added some vertical wiggle in there. And the whole point of doing this is to remove all of the wiggle from the axles. So that's why I had to get some more of these new things. I'm happy with that. We'll give that a go. Time to do the other one. Now both of those are done, I need to take the original kingpins off and then put in my new Philly built steering assembly. While it's all off as well, I may as well give it a bit of a brush now. Just playing with this here, I'm actually seeing I'm getting quite a bit of wobble, and the only place that's going to be coming from is the wishbone. And this is the side where I bent my kingpin. I also must have damaged that wishbone as well. So luckily for me, I do have some spare wishbones too. So we're going to get one of those out, put those on there, and swap that over too. Well, that is much better. Well worth the hand cramp. And now it's finally time to put the original kingpin brace back on. So now the kingpin brace is on, the last little thing that I like to do as a just in case precaution is come to the top of the kingpins and just spin the E-clips around so they're facing the inside of it. Reason being, there's a lip, so if the E-clip was going to get like knocked or come out, it actually can't move anywhere. Whereas if it was facing the other way, it could ping off like into the wheel hub and then it's going to be lost forever. These are my two original kingpins. I'm going to take a closer look at them, and if they are bent, or if I can identify the bent one, that's going to get thrown away, and then the other straight one's going to go back into the spares bag. I'm not going to put the front wheels on just yet, just because I do want to re-glue them. I'm not going to do that in this video though. I'm going to do a separate video showing you how I glue my wheels, because I do have a few little nifty tricks up my sleeves. At this point, we're done with the front of the car, so we're going to move to the rear. We're going to swap out our rear wheels, and of course, we're going to change the rear suspension springs. But first, the wheels. And look at all of that fluff we've got built up on the axle too. I always need to remember to actually take this fluff out after each Friday, because, oh, it does build up something gross. Rear wheels are done. Now the only thing left on my list to do is the rear suspension. And this couldn't be simpler. You literally just take this nut off here, this nut off here, remove the springs, put the fresh ones on, and then you're good to go. And just like that, it is all back together. And I'm actually super chuffed with how solid the steering is now, like how solid the front wheels are. Like if you do like a bit of a vertical wobble, there is almost no play. I mean, there's literally no play in there that's not caused by the steering arm, and you can't really get out of that kind of steering play, the play from the steering arm anyway. So this is okay, but the fact that there's no wobble here at all, that is just absolutely perfect. Like if you go up to any Mardave Mini Assassin and you give these wheels a bit of a wobble, there is so much play, but now that is all gone. I'm very happy about that. The only thing really left now to do is fine tuning of the ride height, but I think I'll cover that in a separate video in future, just because there are some separate nuances, lots of things that you can do in order to get the perfect ride height, and why you may want to do that as well. So we're going to save that for another video. And as for now, that's pretty much this video done. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it's been insightful and maybe giving you some ideas of what you can do. And also, if you need to tech your mini Mardave, maybe this will be giving you the information on what you need to do. That steering update thing though, putting the PHFE tape on the axles, mwah, that will change your life. So yeah, keep an eye on that, do that yourself, and tell me how good it is. If you've made it this far, make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, don't be arsey.